me, this is interesting to see everything. Yeah.
So Makoto, I think we just had a little glitch there in terms of live. So yes. So it's okay. It's okay. We can rewind. Hold on.
Yeah,
but we had absolutely. So for everyone, Makoto and I were having a conversation, and for some reason we weren't live. But that's okay. You know what? Life happens, and we're both in the tech space. So absolute privilege to have Makoto here. We just met a week ago or 2 weeks ago in Greece, and he was the highlight of my trip because he's doing some really, really brilliant work on, I'll actually have him share a little bit about what it is he's doing, but I'm going to ask the first question I asked him before, which is, if you can work with any particular person or country on your dream project, what would that dream project be?
Yeah, so in many ways, I'm already doing it with Sora. So we're trying to create a new decentralized economic system for the world. But this is a big goal. And it'd be really amazing to work with one partner country to really figure out, what are the problems in their economy and how can technology help to fix these problems? Like, technology can't do everything, but, we can come up with new ideas and new ways to do things. And we can try to fix things and make the lives of everyone better. So from my perspective, that's really what being a human is all about, is trying to, advance humanity, advance the technology, help lift everyone up, because there's lots of problems to solve. And to me, I find this really invigorating, and to analyze problems and find a solution that technology can meet.
So I have a question for you, Makoto, off of that. Do you think the future countries will have their own crypto?
Oh, that's a good question. I do think the future is rather countries won't have their own domestic currencies. I think instead they're going to have like a supranational currency. So there'll be kind of regional or maybe political zones that share a common currency moving forward. And then long term, I think the whole planet will use a single currency, maybe multiple planets as well when we get there.
Okay. And are you already working with some countries right now?
We work with the Central Bank of Cambodia, but that's on a central bank digital currency for their own country, and it's not anything to do with the crypto. But from my personal perspective, crypto has a lot of, cryptocurrency with a rational monetary system like Sora has is really something that can really add a lot of value, because, for example, El Salvador is using Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is really just a foreign currency to El Salvador. It's not there's no monetary policy that the government can employ with Bitcoin, because they don't control the Bitcoins. They can't get any elasticity when they need financing. But with Sora, we have this built in. So it's a way that countries can actually expand their domestic production and at the same time use a supranational currency that no single country can control. So to me, that's really the future. And these are all kind of experiments, and we don't really know how things are going to be in the future, like long term. But we just have to try many different things and see what works and kind of go deep into areas that work.
So technically, any country or looking to shake up their entire monetary system or create their own currencies, you're the guy.
Well, I think most countries don't want to shake up the current monetary system. Even failing countries are very, don't really want to do that. But what we propose really is to create a system in parallel and then let the market kind of decide which system will work. Some countries are not doing so well. I'm not going to name names, but some of them have quite a hard problem with inflation, consumer price inflation, and then also don't really have access to international payments because of various risk factors. And cryptocurrencies really solve this.
Tell everyone what your typical day looks like. I know you said this to me before. Hold on. I'm not going to allow you to say I am in front of the computer all day. We all are.
So I wake up and I drink some tea.
Hold on, and I'm coffee. Hold on, Makoto. I keep thinking about that potion you gave me to drink when we met. Hold on, the ground black water. I don't know what it is you do, but it worked.
The chaga tea with a drop of iodine and methylene blue. So that's a good cure if you're feeling sick. So try it
So
out.
is the side hustle is the herbalist, right?
Well, it's people have to take responsibility for their own health because no one can do it for you. But that's something I learned quite early on, even in high school. But yeah, when I wake up, I kind of first thing I try to do is like update my world state. So like find out what is going on in the world. Are there any emergencies I have to deal with? Like right now, it happens sometimes. If you run a company, we're around 150 people, so there's always something going on, and sometimes I have have to just fix something. If that is not the case, I usually read up in news and try to find out what's going on in the world, and then I join about 4 hours of dev meetings a day just to kind of see what the dev teams are doing, and I typically have a few external meetings as well. And I also review pull requests from the team, like source code commits, because I'm an engineer. So to me, I like to go into all the details. And it's also a way that I can help to ensure that the teams are doing the right things and the quality is what I expect. So yeah, so I do a lot of stuff. I usually work pretty much all day until like around try to go to bed around midnight or so. Don't always
And what
make it.
about work-life balance? Hold on. What about work-life balance, Makoto?
I love my job. So to me, it's really exciting. Sometimes, I go to places like Greece where we met on events, and so that kind of breaks up the rhythm some. And then, yeah, sometimes I go out, walk to some restaurant or like go somewhere. Dubai has many amazing restaurants. Yeah, you can go in summer. You can go to the beach. It's a little bit cold, I think, to go swimming now.
Good, good. And let me ask you a question. Everyone is coming to, kind of find their industry expert. If you had to access an industry expert right now in the world for yourself, what kind of expert would you like to access?
Oh, it's a hard question. I don't really understand politics or lobbying very much. So somebody who has expertise in that area and could explain how the game works could be useful.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. And it's just, I think for all of us, we all kind of need a different person, a different versions of ourselves in our lives. So my other question for you recently became, well, not recently, but, fairly recently a dad. If the 8-year-old version of yourself, why would the 8-year-old version of yourself want to hang out with you right now?
So
Or would the 8-year-old version of yourself want to hang out with you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I haven't really changed a lot since I was a kid. At least, like I was kind of like a weird kid in that I always would hang out with like adults and talk about like adult subjects and like physics or lots of things like that. So I was kind of a little bit weird. So yeah, I think if I was back as an 8-year-old talking to myself now, I think talking about how economies really work and how can we make better systems, I think would be something that even at 8 years old I would have found quite interesting. Though I mean I was a little weird of a kid, so some kids just like to have fun, and I mean I had fun, but it's more like a different type of fun.
I love that though, right? So the 8-year-old would probably think you're cool as school talking about economic, world economic situation. That's awesome. And what about the fast forward, the 80-year-old version of yourself? What would the 80-year-old version of yourself be most proud of right now, of this current version of yourself?
It's a good question. It's hard to look in the future. So really one thing I found is that like developing new skills and learning things is really something that you really has a big payoff and you appreciate later. So like learning languages, for instance. So yeah, I kind of want to learn more languages.
You speak Japanese now, right? I noticed name Japanese. Da, da, da. So everyone, let's answer that real quick. Everybody's probably wondering why Makoto has a Japanese name. So tell us that story real quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I moved to Japan in 2008, and I became a citizen in 2015. So I moved there to work on my master's thesis originally. So I was working at NEC, and after that I enjoyed it so much, so I got a job working in at ATR, which is a research lab in Kyoto, and studying in the neuroscience field. So I was a research engineer who wrote a lot of code, and I liked being in Japan, so I got citizenship, And yeah, I really enjoyed. Japan, of course, has many structural problems with the economy and demographics and governance. So it's not, it's a very complex society. It's not so simple, but I really like it there. I probably enjoyed being there more than anywhere else in the world.
Okay. And I think you're going back soon, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
Very nice.
Just for some
Very nice.
meetings and stuff, not full time. But yeah, eventually I'll go back full time. That's definitely in the plan.
Okay. And what is right now, what is in your life or in work, what are you most proud of so far? If you had to look at your entire body of work or, your journey so far, what is the thing, if you could name a thing, that you're most proud of so far?
Yeah, I'm really I like the work that we did that we're doing still in Cambodia. So on the backlog system, and going from like a really high level idea and to a system that's actually in production and used to transfer billions of dollars a year is really quite it's quite invigorating. And it's really I was really yeah, honored to be part of that because it is something that expands financial inclusion, and a lot of people didn't have methods to pay other than like cash or really expensive payment services. And so a system like this run by the central bank that lets people send money to any phone number in the country is really amazing. And it works 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And yeah, I was really it wasn't always easy, but yeah, I'm really proud and happy at the outcome.
That's amazing. And if there's one thing you could do to improve or change the monetary system in the UAE, since we're here, what would that be?
Yeah, UAE actually does a pretty good job. I mean, it's hard not to do a good job because they have so many dollars coming in because of petrochemicals. Um, they they need to have a better SME, kind of. They need to support SMEs a little bit more,
Mm.
and have because SMEs drive innovation, and so that's one of the structural things. They need to make it so that there's more innovation coming here and not just buying things from overseas. They do a lot of stuff here, but they don't really I've noticed they don't put a big emphasis on software quality. So the software they buy is kind of like almost an afterthought. And really, to have a digital economy, you need to kind of make software quality and processes front and center. And that means you have to pay quality price because it's not good software is not so cheap. It costs quite a lot, but it has a lot of value.
Mm.
So, but it seems they don't really appreciate software as much as I think they could. And then also, it doesn't seem there's a big enough SME. So there's a lot of a few big companies do a lot of things here, but and a lot of they need to kind of focus a little bit more on this entrepreneurial and
Ecosystem.
innovation work.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that. You know what? As an entrepreneur and as a startup, and I think a lot of effort, but you are correct in terms of the payment system and the financial system for SMEs. There's a lot of work to be done. So listen, that's actually a great profile of a buyer for your NFT. Someone from the government level really looking to do something within that sector would be kind of ideal. Let me ask you a question, Makoto. What is most exciting you about your sector right now as a whole?
What really excites me is we're creating the future. So it's obvious that the world is moving from this old fiat-based currency system to a new digital-based system. And the digital-based system doesn't have to follow the same rules as the old system. So we can re-envision how an economy should be, how it should be structured, and because economies are important because money governs how humans relate to each other, how they get the allocation of resources and things like that. So building the future of that is really building a future for the world. And I think the world is at an important apex. So we're moving between an old system and a new system because the profound introduction of technology has changed everything and is continuing to change everything. But it could go either way. It could go really, humanity can be lifted up and go to the next level of our evolution, or we'll be go into like a new dark age, and that's also a possibility. So I'm not really sure at this point which one it will be. I do hope that there will be areas of light in the darkness, because if you look at situation in Europe, for instance, with the war, and then also years of lockdown and restraints coming here, are kind of like more on the consumer side, and they need to be more on the production side. So instead of just buying some Lambo here, kind of like more on the consumer side, and they need to be more on the production side. So instead of just buying some Lambos and Rolexes, they need to make a SME and build some products. So that's what I meant about creating like a more of an SME culture here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think, it echoes with a lot of individuals. And I'm going to end with this last question. Going back to the human side of you, which, I had the privilege of, getting to see glimpses of it. What is it about being a new father that has surprised you the most about yourself?
Yeah, you learn a lot about, I guess, priorities, right? So it gives you a broader view of the world. So rather than just focusing on yourself, you try to focus more on like, how can we change systems so that the future is going to be better than what we have now? Because the trend is actually the opposite. The trend is that the world is getting worse and less free place to live. Also, I'm not really that religious, but I do believe that we get stuck here again. And so building a future that is better for, systems that are better for the future is going to benefit ourselves as well. And I don't really, I don't like the trends that are very anti-intellectual, that ignore, there's a lot of ignoring science and a lot of fear going around for the last few years. And, a lot of this is done just to sell media, because fear sells and sells a lot. So yeah, really what I learned is really that we have to think about not just how to fix specific problems, but how to fix the actual system and the decision-making processes, because that's going to have a big impact on the future. And you can actually do some simulation, mental simulation, and extrapolate how the world will be, in 10, 20, 30 years. And if we keep following the current course, it's very negative. But we have to think about, how can we reverse this trend? How can we create the tools that can, lead to greater freedom and empowerment of humanity? So freedom doesn't mean that you sit around and don't work. Freedom means that you are free to actually contribute and to lift humanity upwards using your full potential. So freedom is actually being true to yourself and reaching your full potential through hard work. Yeah. And that's really, kind of what I've thought a lot about.
Hold on, all of that in becoming a dad? That's awesome, Makoto. So Makoto, I'm going to end on this note. It's 5 years from now. We haven't seen each other.
5 years from now will be 2027. And, we could meet in Japan, bump into me in Japan.
Okay.
At that time, my company will be celebrating 11 years. And hopefully I'll be doing the same types of things. Maybe the SOAR project will have some countries that we're working with. That would be quite amazing. And building new technology is really something that never stops. So I think by then we'll be working on new blockchain technology that is more scalable, and that's kind of the positive side, I think.
No, that's wonderful. Makoto, an absolute pleasure having you. I know how busy your day is. Thank you for joining. And whoever grabs your NFT, they're going to be one incredibly lucky buyer. Thank you, Makoto.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good